What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Scoop Around the Loop. We got the full squad here today. We need to take a week off to bring everyone back, and I am super excited to see all of you guys. We got Andrew, Brady, Tyler, and Daniela. How is your guys' day going?
Doing good.
I've been drinking this protein shake that's got mushrooms in it, functional mushrooms.
You never sent me what it is, so I can get some of it.
All right. I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Well, they're not paying us to be sponsored, so we're not going to say it on the podcast. But you can message me that, so I have that. Let's talk about...
Many people might think that if you're drinking mushrooms, you are tripping balls right now in your office. Is that true?
No,
mushrooms.
I will just say that things sound louder. Things are clearer, but I don't see colors or anything that it didn't exist before.
All right, we had our grill out, and I think it went pretty well. Andrew, what do you think? Our Memorial Day grill out, do you think it was a success?
Yeah, I thought so. We had, success in the sense of, a lot of people came out, and a lot of people had reached out to me also that were going to come, but they were either under the weather, had, something else come up. But, we got food for, I think, roughly 300, over 250 people, something like that. We ended up with just a few hamburgers and 20 or so hot dogs left. So I think all in all, we had probably close to 200 people come through. It's a good time. Appreciate everybody showing us love for sure. And then we raised money for Change Course. We can talk about that. Tyler, if you want to talk about that or announce it later.
Yeah, Tyler, talk about Change Course a little bit. And I don't know, do you know the number that we ended up raising?
Yeah, $500. So something to build on. Definitely. I've thought of ways to build on that and earn more for them next year. But Change Course is the nonprofit that we partnered with, and Change Course is a career coaching, essentially like a career coaching service or resource for people who have simply been down on their luck, whether they were incarcerated or getting out of abusive relationships or getting over addiction or just dealing with lifelong poverty. It's like a 5-month course. They have a graduation, everything. I teach them soft skills, and then it goes into teaching them skills that they can use in the workforce and getting them resources and hooked up with job opportunities. And then after that, they kind of just teach them up on life and how to save money and what to do with their money and how to be a contributing member to society. So it's a really, really cool thing. There's we need more of them, but there's tons of nonprofits that focus on like children and things like that, people under the age of 18. So it's nice to support one of the handful of nonprofits in the area that really, really focus on bettering the lives of adults who have experienced nothing but brokenness for most of their life.
Yeah, and I think two core things they talk about when they talk about helping people break out of cycles. One of them is the poverty cycle, to break out of that, where and the greatest way to do that, where I think this is a natural kind of fit for us, is owning real estate. And that's how you traditionally build wealth, is owning real estate. So we can help these people not just become real estate agents. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about how to acquire real estate too. And that's how you can start to build wealth. And the other thing they talk about is the government assistance trap, that people will stay in, because, well, the government will give me this, but the government's only going to give you so much. The government's never going to give you more than it gives itself. And so how can we get people in general, how can we get people out of that dependence? And that's what this program is great for. So we love what they represent. We love the people there. If you're not about it, get out of here. That's all I can say. Anybody else?
Thomas just frozen. We're waiting out direction from Thomas, the point guard on the 5-man show.
He's the Tyrese Halliburton of the podcast. Except Tyrese doesn't
Is
freeze.
that me? I'm getting
Yeah,
internet connection issues.
Except I was gonna say, he texted me last night saying SGA is unstoppable, and I was gonna give him props, but then he started freezing out. MVPs don't freeze out in the middle of the podcast. See, there
he left.
I think overall
he got mad.
The grill out went great. I think there's some things from our team standpoint that we can definitely do to improve things. But I personally love doing this and spending money on this versus, again, like Zillow ads and stuff like that. Just being with our friends and family, like our close friends and family all show up, which is nice to just hang out. I met a lot of Danny's family, which is great, and her husband's family, which is great as well. And then we can mix people in, and I think we get real genuine connections.
Your sister-in-law had a Broncos sweatshirt on, so I go, yeah, go Broncos. She goes, I'm a Chiefs fan. And I said, well, you don't get to eat nothing then. Her boyfriend's a Broncos fan. So I gave him free tickets for more food.
Oh, nice. Thank you for doing that. Something that I wanted to add up to it is you both have an amazing family. I got the chance to meet every single person, and my respects. You guys are very, very blessed to have people that support you that much. And I'm blessed too because my family is always very supportive. And that shows as well where everybody comes from and how much values they have put into you. And you're showing the same thing towards the community. So I just love to see everybody helping each other, supporting, and being there for every single one of us. That was very, very warm for my heart. Yeah,
I agree.
We're a family business at the core, like this. The ship doesn't run without everyone doing their part, and so that goes to our wives in our case, and our kids. Everyone kind of has sacrificed, and so yeah, your grandmother was here from Ecuador, so that was pretty cool. She came up just for the grill out, I think. Right?
Yeah, she was invited. She got in a flight and came to support.
People all over the planet came to this thing.
How long did she stay in town for? Is she still in town?
Yeah, she's staying for a month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I suppose she's not coming up just for the weekend. If you're coming from Ecuador,
will she be here for the 4th of July parade?
She will.
Uh-oh.
I think she will.
That's the most American thing, like the most American stretch she can be in America.
We're just chucking candy at people for America.
Hot dogs and then endless candy environment.
It's probably the best time of year to visit Iowa, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally goes for like a month, and then she ended up staying for like a month, and then 2 months, and sometimes 2 months and a half. She always changes the tickets, so I never know for how long she stays, but she might be there.
Tommy, what's your thought? How'd the bags tournament go, would you say?
I think the people that were in the bags tournament had fun. I had fun the whole time. It was a great event. It's great to see how many people support all of us. My only disappointment of the day, honestly, Brady, how many hot dogs did you eat?
I was saving them for Tyler. I know Tyler likes to wolf them down. So
see, I have photo evidence. I'm more of a brat guy. I have photo evidence of that too, by the way. You guys saw that in the photo album that got sent. There's a picture of me red-handed with a brat in my hand.
I don't love eating at those things, to be honest with you. So I had a hamburger at the very end, but
I had one hot dog. Like I didn't eat the whole time. I think the thing we need to think about for next year, we're just going to plan this live on the stream. I think we should have a celebrity cook for next year, so none of us have to be manning the grill. Because
we do it.
And my father-in-law, which ended up being the case. I don't know why we didn't just have them do that from the jump.
Yeah,
or we do it a lot earlier.
Yeah, and I think we'll be all the way set up and ready to go by the time people start showing up there. That'll be something that will improve it.
I mean, if people showed up early too. I think people were excited about it. And there was a fun note. There was a Narcotics Anonymous gathering at the bigger shelter.
They appeared to be having a more fun party than we were.
And we had I had friends that were in line for that food line, and they're Springer Brothers stuff, and they sit down with the food, and they're like, where are the Springer Brothers? And people are vaping and smoking, and they're like, this doesn't seem like Andrew's crowd.
Tyler's crowd, yes.
And then they realize that it's Narcotics Anonymous gathering. So kind of weird that the anonymous crowd got together. But what did you say, Danny? I'm sorry.
That happens to my family too, and actually a lot of people that ended up in the tables, they told me, oh, we were there first and the vibe was off. So then we figured here. So then it came to us.
It's funny.
So they eat some of their food, then we, our food went a little longer, a little further.
All right,
Tommy,
let's go into local news. I kind of pulled up the slide before you guys were done talking, but so actually it started yesterday. The Principal Charity Classic did, and the Pro-Am started, and the Pro-Am's going on today too, and then the official tournament starts on Friday at Wakanda Club. I think this is the last year they have it at Wakanda Club. I didn't verify that before starting. But this is a fun event to go to if you guys have never gone to it. It's part of the Champions Tour League, which is like the PGA players that are 50 and above can enter into the Champions Tour. But it still is a lot like the PGA, where every single tournament that they host is also a fundraiser. So the article I was reading, the Principal Charity Classic has raised $62 million since it started in 2007, which is really, really cool. There's still going to be a lot of good players out there playing this weekend. I don't know how much you guys watch golf, but Vijay Singh is going to be there. Stephen Ames is going to be there. Podrick Harrington, who can still really, really play. They can all still play better than we can. So it's still really, really fun to watch. Have any of you guys ever been to this?
Speak for yourself, punk. I've never been to it. My father-in-law and brother-in-law go every single year, and they invited me to go Sunday, but I'm showing houses, and golf's not really my thing. But I do think it would be a lot of fun.
Brady, you been?
Things about it.
I have not. I mean, definitely something I'll look into now, but I haven't really been to a lot of golfing events. I just like to play golf. I don't know. I feel like watching it. How does it even work? Do you just get to sit at one hole the entire time? Or does that
you walk around?
Yeah, you get to do whatever you want, pretty much.
Yeah,
but you kind of want to camp out at one. Otherwise, if you're constantly moving around, you're going to miss a lot of golf.
Yeah, you won't have a spot.
Yeah, you could either camp out at either a hole that has a good tee shot or a good approach shot, or what I'll normally do, depending on how long I want to hang out for, I will normally just walk the whole course in reverse. So there's a way that you can enter it through Wakanda Club where you come in basically on the 18th hole, and I'll just walk 18 all the way to 1, or as much as you can. And then you see a variety of players, and you see every hole played is typically what I will do. But yeah, there's other people that have specific spots that they want to hang out at, like at a par 3 or the last hole and stuff like that.
Where do you at Wakanda? Where do you park? Do you park off site?
Yeah, they have off-site part and they shuttle you in. I'm trying to remember where it was last year because I went last year. I don't remember, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, it's all off-site and they shuttle you in. So it is a lot better than trying to park close to Wakanda.
Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere to park, literally.
Yeah. Actually, maybe I went 3 years ago because Wakanda Club was just remodeled, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
They just redid all of the fairways or whatever.
Yeah. So I have not seen the. So Tyler, do you golf at all?
No.
Brady,
No.
you play though, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
What's your favorite Des Moines area course that you play?
I really like public course Legacy. I like Legacy a lot. It's not like terribly priced too, I feel like, compared to others. But I'll go to Grandview a lot too, just because that's like literally the cheapest around. And I like that. I mean, 18 holes for $34 with a cart. I mean, I don't really care what the course looks like for that amount. But
And Grandview is in really good shape. Like,
yeah.
Woodland Hills is right around the same price, and it's not in as good a shape as Grandview is.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think my favorite course to play is Grandview. Danielle, you don't play golf, do you?
No, I don't. My dad is a golfer, but I don't.
Andrew, no?
Golfed
I
once.
I don't know
in
if it's
15
still.
years.
I don't know if it's still true. I did pick it up during COVID and went, I don't know, 10 times in 2021, 12 times in 2021, but it's just so infuriating and I suck. And I'd rather spend my free time playing like pickup basketball personally than golf. So that's always kind of my dilemma. What would I rather do? Golf takes 4 hours, pickup basketball takes an hour, that type of thing. Pickup basketball is free a lot of the time. If I did golf, I would be forced to drink beer. And I don't need to be forced to do that anymore.
Who are you golfing with that's forcing you to drink beer?
Myself. I know for a while, I'm assuming it's still true. I believe Iowa had the highest golf course per capita in the country.
One of the highest, at least. Top two, I think.
Tons of golf course compared to the population. And Waveland Golf Course, which I have golfed before and I've played a bunch of courses, and I would say Waveland's probably my favorite if I had to pick, just given the location and it's really hard, but it's also entertaining. That's the oldest public golf course west of the Mississippi, apparently.
And that golf courses per capita stat makes a lot of sense when you compare prices to golf in Iowa compared to other states.
Yeah, well, and then you just get to thinking about like all the golf courses that there are. I mean, Norwalk has 3, and Norwalk is
They have 2. They used to have 4.
What? Echo,
Legacy,
and Warrior Run or whatever isn't open anymore.
That's
closed, unfortunately.
They were doing foot golf there, and then south of Norwalk there was a course that was actually light. It had lights, so you can night golf there.
Yep, Rolling Hills Golf Course. That's the first golf course I ever played golf at. Fun fact.
Yeah,
And
I forget what hole at Waveland. I remember I hit the ball like literally 5 yards in the air, but it just rolled down the hill like halfway in the fairway. So if you do it right there, you can take advantage of the hills.
Okay. I was going to jump into some market stats. We listed a townhome in 50266 about 2 weeks ago now, so I thought it would be interesting to pull up some market stats for that type of thing too. So this is 50266 townhomes. This is resale and new construction combined. So that might kind of change the statistics a little bit, but I'll read through the stats and then you guys can just shout if you see anything interesting. Month supply of inventory, we're looking at 3 months. So that's right around kind of sellers, kind of a neutral market. 12 months change in inventory. It's basically hasn't changed at all. There's basically just as many listings now as there was a year ago. It's only went up 0.5%. Median days on market for the last 6 months is 37 days compared to last year. It was 24. So there's the same amount of listings, but they're selling a little slower. Sold to list price ratio is 97 right now. That is the last 6 months of sales as well. And the same time last year, they were getting 99% of what they were listed at. And then median sold price right now for townhomes is 275, and last year was 233. So I got to be honest, I didn't look too much at that median sales price to see. It could just be that there was a lot of new construction that sold this last 6 months compared to last year, and that's affecting it a little bit, but that seemed like quite a big jump. What do you guys think? Andrew?
I think just it's like our particular townhome that we've listed is in an area that's got 4 townhomes listed that are very similar, so I might add it's listed cheaper than the median sold price, so you can get a deal on that thing,
and it's cheaper than all the ones listed around it,
right? So I think
stage.
Yeah,
I think
the first one to say that.
I think just in general though, like And we can talk about this a little bit maybe later, but I think just in general, people are still kind of waiting for things to happen in the economy. I think a little teaser. Tomorrow is my 8-year anniversary of becoming a real estate agent, and so I looked up the stats for May of 2017 compared to May of 2025. And there's about 500 more homes that were sold in 2017 than there were this year. So, just in general, things are kind of moving a little slower. Like, and to that point, there's deals to be made as a buyer. Again, we can get more into that maybe a little later because I want to hash through some of that, but that's kind of what jumped out to me. Yeah.
Tyler, does it feel like to you that there's just less townhome buyers in our market than there are single family by like quite a bit?
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to when Andrew first started, when I first started 6 years ago, just townhomes aren't necessarily just super, super affordable anymore for the average buyer. I remember it seemed like, single nurses or, someone making that type of money could buy a townhouse fairly easily when they were listed for $150,000 and stuff like that. But as time goes on, that the affordability of a townhome has obviously gone up. And when you're paying more for a home, I think people just kind of start to prefer a single family house, I guess, is some of my thinking. Is, you can $275,000 median sold price. You could get a house that's decently updated and has a backyard for $275,000, on the west side of Des Moines.
Brady, what do you think, like someone trying to compare townhome versus single family, what do you think the big advantage of being in a townhome would be?
I mean, definitely the exterior maintenance. You don't have to worry about everything that goes into that. It's just more of a come in, live in it, and then we got everything on the outside. There's not as much work to go into it, which is good for someone like Tyler said, a nurse who will have like a busy schedule and doesn't want to deal with shoveling the driveway every morning when she's got to get out for work or mowing the lawn after work. I mean, that's the biggest appeal. And what sticks out to me the most is the HOA will just take care of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And as long as the HOA fee isn't crazy, that's
along that line too, like Tyler said, with just the cost of townhomes and the HOA is just another thing layered on top of that. I think HOAs are very useful, but it's just something that adds to that cost.
And
go ahead.
If it's an HOA that does cover exterior, which some of them don't, it does lessen your insurance too. So it does cancel out a little bit, but not a ton.
Right. But like by our office, there's a lot of rental townhomes being built too, and I think truly if you're somebody that is, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of buying one, but I think the reality of it is if you're in a situation where like, I don't want to buy a townhome, but I don't want to live in an apartment, renting a townhome could still be a very good option. You're going to be there, a year or two, and you don't want to take a chance on not having equity in it, Yeah. So I think those are things that, go into the decision-making of buying or,
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that you just hit there was that when you're buying, you have to realistically, in my opinion, buy something at minimum you're going to stay 5 or 7 years in. And for a lot of people, that's just not realistic for a townhome.
Or be in a position in 2 or 3 years to rent out your townhome.
Yeah, that's
if you're gonna buy something else. So I think that's just it is what it is. It doesn't make a townhome doesn't make sense for everybody. A house doesn't make sense for everybody. But I think those things are kind of factoring into. I think overall, though, just the market's being weird. I think all that stuff kind of gets sold eventually.
Mm-hmm. Daniela, is there any pluses of buying a townhome that Brady might have missed? Or anything you wanted to say about the West Des Moines townhome market that surprised you?
Yeah, I would say I agree with Andrew a lot in that. I feel like it depends of what a client is looking for, is personal preference. If you are wanting to have a backyard, if you are wanting to take some maintenance in your house, it's better to buy a single family home. But if you are maybe a woman that is single and doesn't want to have a headache of taking care of the outside, and you don't want to live in a single family home because of a little bit of safety and knowing that you have neighbors around your age nearby, literally next door, might make you feel a little bit safe in the areas. um, Price wise, have noticed a lot of like new construction in West Des Moines with a little bit more higher end finishes, especially built by Caliber. That's why I think the price is going up a little bit in those statistics. It's just townhouses being nicer than what they used to be before.
Yeah.
And there is a lot for sale. So I think that's why the price is higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure if we just got on the MLS real quick, we could find the culprit of that new construction. The culprit of that increase in medium sales price, or that drastic, would be
Well,
higher
I know right by the one you guys have listed, there was a builder there building ones that were well above that median sold price. So if they sold a few units in the last month, I mean, that could be a big part of it. And a lot of those at this point they started building those. A lot of those more expensive ones, they started building those 4 or 5 years ago, and a lot of people are selling them now. So it kind of is part of that too. So
I think another thing too, sometimes like my wife and I ran into this when we bought our townhome. We bought our townhome in 2008. I think it was $135,000, and it was 1,500 square feet. Like, it was pretty big, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, coming out of a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. Like, it felt huge. And then she was pregnant with Ryder, and then we had 2 more children there before we moved. Like, we just ran out of room. But there was not a basement. And if there had been, we probably would have stayed. Like, it didn't have to be finished, but even just having room to potentially finish it, or room to store stuff, would have made a huge difference for us. I know just from recent experience showing some clients townhomes, they didn't even want to look at stuff that didn't have a basement, because it really kind of limits how much you can bring into the house. They have 20 some years of belongings and possessions and furniture and stuff like that. So they want to be able to host people and stuff like that. So I think, again, even having a basement, it doesn't have to be finished, and it doesn't really cost a whole lot more. I say that, somewhat tongue in cheek, but it really doesn't cost a whole lot more to add a basement, maybe $12,000, $15,000. And so then it's, again, not finishing it, just pouring the foundation, but it gives you a lot more utility. And so I think that's where people are just wishing when they look at townhomes, they wish there was more room to grow into.
yeah. And I think this is a long time ago that I read this survey, so it's probably not even up to date, but the number one reason people end up moving is location, and number 2 is space, specifically for storage. So I think that's a really good point that you just hit there too. So, all right, let's go to Tyler. Brought this up, so I'm going to expect Tyler to be the first one with an idea. It's summertime. Kids are out of school. I think all schools are out now. And it's time to take some day trips in Iowa. And I thought we would go around the table and everyone throw out their best realistic day trip that they could take in Iowa. Tyler, were you thinking that you wanted people to specifically stay in Iowa with these day trips, or were you thinking what can you drive to?
Midwest, but you could stay in Iowa. My first choice is in Iowa, Marshalltown. There's a lot to do there. I'm just kidding.
Let's say you go to the Lennox factory.
Okay, all jokes aside, have you guys ever been to the Flying Elbow in Marshalltown?
No, nope, and I will never go there.
One of the best burgers you'll ever have. Shout out to Marshalltown.
The Flying Elbow.
Yeah.
Like a WWE?
Yeah, it's a WWE. It's a WWE themed burger place. Andrew would love it.
Andrew's going there tonight.
Yeah. There was a
Tyler, what's your answer?
There was a what?
Yeah, I don't know what Andrew just did there.
what's that?
What?
What's
My go-to is definitely Omaha. For a lot of reasons. The Omaha Zoo's awesome. I've been there a bunch. I'll continue to go there a bunch because you can see different things every time you go there, and it really, really is a great zoo. But then like the oil market and other places around that, there's just a lot to do. It's only an hour and 45 minutes away.
So that's the best Iowa-ish day trip.
Yeah, I mean you're a hop.
You can get there from it in a day.
You can get there from Des Moines.
I don't know enough in Iowa to go. I mean, other than Ames would be my only thing, or Sioux City to see my friend. But that's it. I would say Omaha. Also Milwaukee. It's like 5 hours away. That's a pretty easy, at least like a weekend trip. Doesn't even necessarily have to be like a long weekend trip. Leave on Friday after work and come back Sunday afternoon. There's a whole bunch to do in Milwaukee. Really, really, really cool city that I would like to go to more often. We've had a couple weddings in Dubuque, and there's actually quite a bit of stuff to do in Dubuque, especially for like a day or a day and a half. Bunch of good breweries, a bunch of stuff. History stuff. Is the first settlement in Iowa. There is a really cool aquarium there where actually a lot of the fish just died not too long ago because of a bacteria outbreak or something like that. So I'm curious to know the standing of how that aquarium is doing. Is like the Mississippi River Aquarium or something like that. And yeah, a whole bunch of their fish got sick and died. But yeah, Omaha and Milwaukee would be my.
Dyersville's up by Dubuque too.
Yeah, Field of Dreams.
Out by Field of Dreams.
I saw this reel this morning, and it said top 5 tourist destinations you wouldn't believe are in Iowa, and I was like, let's take a look. The first one, I'm Victoria Falls, Decorah, Iowa. I'm like, Then Christ the Redeemer, Carroll, Iowa. I was like, Great Wall of China in Council Bluffs.
So they had you at Victoria Falls in Decorah, and it took the Christ Redeemer to know that it was.
It made me. I'm like, I've never heard of that. In Decorah, and then the Christ Redeemer is like, oh.
If you've never seen Victoria Falls, go ahead and look that up on Google. And you would know without ever even needing to hear about it that it's not in Iowa.
Well, first of all, I go, I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist, and then it said Christ Redeemer. I was like, oh. And then the Great Wall of China at Council Bluffs. I think Pella is a great place.
Great in Council Bluffs and Omaha is a great.
Yours is Pella, Andrew.
Yeah, we went there. We went there around Christmas time last year, and I mean, they had good food. They had good little shops. Just kind of fun walking around there. And then obviously they have tulip time and things like that. I think it's a hidden gem in Iowa. That's one that we've done. We thought that was real fun.
Am I super basic if I just say Clear Lake or Okoboji?
I was gonna say Okoboji.
For a lot of people in Iowa.
Those are both really cool small towns on top of you maybe rent a lake house or find a friend that has a lake house out there, and you could just have yourself a really fun weekend. If you want to go out of state, I'm a super big fan of driving up to Minneapolis and taking a few stops on the way up there, going to Valley Fair, maybe going to Mystic Lake if I'm getting crazy, go to the casino, and then go to the Mall of America, baby. So, Brady, what do you got?
I mean, my initial thoughts were either Omaha or Field of Dreams. Both have already been said, but we went to Field of Dreams a couple of years ago, but that was before all the stuff they've done with like the MLB, and I think they're making like a whole complex up there just for the Little League teams where they're going to host some big time tournaments. So,
like permanent seating.
Yeah,
it's like a complex. They ruined it.
Yeah,
that kind of takes away the appeal of it, doesn't it?
I mean, it's not on it.
Like,
Like,
they should have done it on like the other side of Dyersville or something. Like they could have played off of it still, but just not ruin the movie sort of thing.
But they're still going to keep the field from the movie intact, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it's in like the middle of a farm field anymore.
That's
Dyersville has the Basilica of St. Francis, which is one of the few minor Roman Catholic basilicas in the United States outside a large metro area. That's kind of very detailed, but it's kind of like a random spot. And they also have the National Farm Toy Museum. So maybe Dyersville's maybe where we have our next podcast.
How far of a drive is that for us?
2.5.
2.5?
Probably almost 3.
Yeah, because it's
Daniela?
not like a straight shot.
What would be your weekend trip?
Fun. For me, I have been dying to go to Indianola to the hot air balloons whenever they do like the 100 hot air balloons. That for me, that's amazing.
Are you gonna get up in one or just go see them?
Just go
It is
see
cool to see.
them. I don't know if you can get on them.
Oh yeah, you can.
Really?
I bought Jen a ticket once, and as we were driving down there, it was one of those things that she said she always wanted to do, and then I bought the ticket. She was starting to get scared.
She was like, I was kidding.
Yeah, I'm
As
good
we
on
were
that.
driving down there, we got a text saying it was too hot to go up in the hot air balloons. So,
God.
Aren't you
got
scared of
like-
heights?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would never do that ever in my life.
I would have been terrified, but she said she wanted to do it, so I was just going to do it. You know.
Thomas, you're a man's man. Yeah, Indianola is a good one. They have another nice little town down there. Obviously, a quick trip. Another spot I've never been. We were up there for a wedding, but we didn't get like the full experience. That sounds similar to Pella. Is Decorah. They have Toppling Goliath Brewing Company, which brews Pseudo Sue. Everyone knows Pseudo Sue in the Midwest, but they have really, really cool small town. There's a bunch of good hiking and camping in the area up there. Anywhere up in like Northwest Iowa, you start to get like cliffs and bluffs and a lot more hills and stuff like that. So the nature side of things is easy to find up there.
Oh yeah, it's a great part of the state.
Fun fact: did you know that there is an ice cave during the summer in Decorah that you can go to?
Ice skating in the summer?
No,
Ice
an
cave.
ice cave.
Oh, an ice cave. I thought you said ice skating. No, I didn't know that. What's that called?
I don't know.
Cave.
It's ice cave Decorah.
So the last guy that came to do some plumbing work for me, I was just chatting him up and asking him what he was doing for the weekend. And
I didn't know Austin Hurd came to your house.
No, it was an employee of Austin Hurd.
Okay.
And he was a cave spelunker, and that's what he was doing for the weekend. He was going out to
A cave what?
Spelunker.
What's he doing to those caves?
Don't worry about it.
That sounds like he needs to leave those caves alone.
Is there ice in them?
Yeah, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, right. Move on to the next topic.
Form in
Let's talk about
January
ice
and last
caves.
through August. I've never heard of that. It's cool.
So I was doing my normal thing, scrolling on Reddit the other day, and I'm not going to take the post that the guy wrote out because I think he gave a lot of answers that you guys will potentially bring up. But his question basically was, what advice did you get as a new agent that you now realize is actually bad advice? And I thought it would be interesting to start out with Andrew and Tyler on this, and then talk to Brady and Daniela to talk to them about what advice they've been given that they thought, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, what advice have we given you, Brady, that you didn't like?
I definitely thought, I wouldn't say it was just like a specific piece of advice, but like going into it, I definitely was thinking it'd be much more like salesy, like kind of like car salesman or like more transactional type of things. Like I thought, I mean, some of the books are good, but you know, I thought reading some of these like sales books would be super beneficial, which they can be, but it's definitely not really sales at all. It's kind of like mentorship in a way. And it's so much
much more communication based, like just learning about people and learning what people want and helping them kind of go through that
not
process.
only to take care of people, but admittingly to like get business, just to get leads in general. Like again, we don't pay for the Zillow leads and stuff like that. So the stuff that we need to do to get leads and get people to like us and think of us when they're buying and selling a home are much more like real and not weird, I guess. And so figuring out a way not to be weird and be organic, but you know, texting a random dude you haven't talked to in 6 years, asking him to get a coffee, you know, and figuring out ways to be like organic with that and not be like texting him saying, hey man, I'm a real estate agent, let me know when you're trying to buy or sell a house, and then texting him next month saying the same thing and so on and so forth. Like that's weird. That's that they used to tell me that I disagree with.
Yeah. On the Zillow thing, I definitely had multiple other people in my first year tell me to buy internet leads. And I didn't really do much of that until my second or third year, but I regret all the money I spent on that, to be totally honest, because it just, in my opinion, isn't worth it. So, Andrew, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good one, Tommy. I think I was always encouraged to go to all the open houses, to go to all the agent opens. Like, I think that there's a purpose and a time for that. But I also see a lot of the same agents going to those that really don't produce. So you kind of look back, you look at it and you're like, these are the activities they're doing. It's not leading to production. Some of those things are good for you. It's good to know people. It's good to have relationships with people, but
good
focus on
generators.
Yeah. But focus on things that move the needle. And, I think that no one's ever said, don't do the things that don't move or don't do things that don't move the needle. But I think it's, if I said that right, but I just think like that's something that you need to look at. Is this something that moves the needle? I think starting out, maybe it's good to kind of introduce yourself to certain agents. But there's some agents that I'm like, I don't want to replicate what you're doing because I don't think it's working. I'd be curious though, Tommy, what the Reddit thing said.
Give me a second on that. He was talking about agent tours. Well, he had a mentor of his, not necessarily a specific tours, but he said if a vacant listing ever gets listed, schedule an agent preview and go check it out. Like, just go tour as many homes as you possibly can. And he thought that was bad advice because it was a waste of time to go look at houses that you didn't necessarily have a buyer for.
Yeah, I can agree with.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with that personally. I mean, I know that I still go look at houses 6 years in to go look at stuff, especially if it's like a different, and if it's vacant. I'm not going to houses that are occupied, but if it's like a different architectural style, just a different house. Like a couple months ago, an A-frame got listed, and I was really curious to see like what that was actually like on the inside. The only A-frame I've been in is in northern Minnesota. But especially starting out, I think you can really familiarize yourself with like old house stuff compared to like new house stuff, and different levels of new construction, because there is big levels of it and stuff like that. I think that's worth more of your time than going to hang out with other agents who are trying to sell.
I think just driving around and getting yourself in different neighborhoods too helps a ton. So then when people send you a house, you're like, oh, well, this is right by that. And, talk to them about the neighborhood.
If I can add something there, I feel like going to houses that you have never been before, like this agent was saying, especially so you get familiar with the layout of the homes once you are inside. I think that can be helpful for whenever you're talking to a client and they are describing the home that they might like or love. So in the back of your head, you can think right away, this layout might be perfect for this person. And then you kind of like look in pictures which layout will work best, so you don't have to kind of waste time whenever you're helping them. So from that perspective, I can see it being very helpful if you're not very familiar with the houses of your market, with the layout of them. But if you are already familiar with them, I can see why that can be a waste of time.
Yeah, and I mean, to Danny's point, for instance, like a house that comes to mind is like the store and a halves that you see in bungalows in like Des Moines. Kind of their layouts where the upstairs is finished, the attic space is finished. You know, I remember it finally clicking in my head that, like, you know, this finished attic spaces, if you're a buyer 6'6", probably aren't going to be a good option for you. You know what I mean? And
they might be a good fit if your buyer is 5'7" and really likes shoes.
Thomas. So just, you know, you only think of those things and put those things or engrave them into your brain by going out and doing them. So I don't know. I think along the lines to Andrew's point, like the agent opens and the builder opens and the agent networking events and the stuff like that, especially when it comes to networking with agents, I would say I was totally against it a couple years ago. I'm starting to do a little bit more of it, but it's never anything that I would ever like say I can't do something else because I have this agent networking event going on.
Oh yeah, no, it's never on the top of my priority list.
Never anything that I schedule around. It's if it happens to fit in my schedule, I'll go to it. But I definitely feel like there's some more important things to do, even if it's making sure my home life is right and making sure my house is cleaned up so my wife and my kid are happy. You know, in certain situations, stuff like that can be really beneficial. And another thing, as I'm saying that, one thing when I first got started, like I got into that mode of like make as much money as I can, you know, spend as much time doing this as I can. I think one dope thing about our job is that it allows us time and we don't have to be in that like rat race that they talk about, as long as your bills are paid and, you know, that type of thing. But definitely like taking advantage of a unique work schedule, using it to my advantage and my family's advantage to build good relationships with my friends and family and my son and my wife. You know, like I definitely would say that if I took the approach I was kind of jammed down your throat when you first get into real estate, I want to have nearly as good of a relationship with Isaiah as I do now. Because I see and hang out with Isaiah all the time, and that's super, super important to me.
Brady, is there any advice that you've either read or heard that you kind of gave a side eye at? You're like, you're not curious. You're curious if this is actually good advice.
Well, yeah, something I heard that wasn't from anyone on this podcast was just to get really good at one specific thing. I think later down the road, you can kind of start to do that. But when you're starting out, just like me, like trying everything is really important. Because, I mean, what you think is going to maybe work out, like, oh, I really want to work with investors. And then you kind of limit yourself learning everything about that when there's so many different avenues that you're not hitting on. So I think for me, it's just really important to continue to gain knowledge in every area and not limit myself on one thing, especially when it's looking for new clients, not just doing cold calling or whatever, but it's the cold calling and the mail and the videos and everything that will all go together. And I mean, that's kind of something I'm working through right now, where it's just not trying to put all your eggs in one basket, but figuring out what you like. So later down the road, then you can kind of start to get that niche or whatever that you're more focused on.
Well, and I would say even some of the more successful agents in our market use 3 to 4 different lead sources still. So there's not a lot of agents in our market that just use one thing to get leads and to bring business in.
I think shout out to Brady on this subject. Brady has sent a ton of mailers and that type of thing and done cold calling and open houses, but he broke out of his shell and posted a video of him just chatting into his phone.
That video was awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really good. He posted that and got tons of reach on it. So that's step one to get kind of casting a broader, a wider net to see what you can capture. Again, stuff like that is going to pay off maybe a little bit further down the road than cold calling and things like that, but maybe not.
Daniela?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, you can add up to this subject before I change it.
So I mean, I think as it relates to advertising, I think there's some truth to, figure out what you're good at and dominate it. Like you don't want to dabble at a bunch of things. However, I think, Brady, kind of what you're talking about though is, you don't know what working with an investor's like. You don't know what working with $1 million buyers like. You don't know what kind of all these different people in between. The first time home buyer. Like there's some people that like will never do open houses. There's some people that really don't list a lot. They do a lot of buyer stuff, and I think trying it all, will allow you to figure out what your strength is. But you don't want to like narrow your focus from the jump. Like you might think that $1 million clients are the best clients in the world. Well, they're $1 million clients because they probably have some neurotic trait to them that might drive you nuts. It's what made them successful, but it may not mesh with you. The first time home buyer might, have some, you might just identify with and connect with more, like you can empathize with more, like, there's just certain, I realize I'm broad stroking this, but there's just certain things that you don't know until like you've worked with everybody. And I remember specifically at an open house, this lady came in like all hot to trot about something and arguing with me about what kind of fireplace it was there. So I remember what it was, or flooring. And by the end of it, she was like, "Can I leave my name and number for you?" I was like, "I'm good." Like I just knew like that wasn't the type of person I wanted to work with. And I think, when you start out, you kind of take it all, anyone that will work with you, you take it. And then hopefully you get to a point where you're like, this is something I don't want to do, because yes, at the end of the day, I might get paid, but it's going to take me 2 years to find them something. And I'm going to get $3 an hour. And to Tyler's point, you're going to lose a lot of valuable time with your family that you'll never get back. So, so I see both sides of that. One is figuring out what you're good at and just dominating it. Not trying to be, the master. I think that's why Tyler and I have a good partnership in our approach to social media. He's stronger on Instagram. I'm stronger on Facebook, I would say. And so I don't have to learn all the tricks and trades of Instagram. He takes care of it and vice versa. And so, that would be my thought on that. Is you really, when you're prospecting, cast a wide net, and then you can kind of, over the years, you kind of fine tune that, and you do it enough, you spot the red flags before they're even up. So
one more thought I had was, especially starting off and you're taking in a bunch of knowledge from like a bunch of different podcasts around the country, real estate and like real estate sales are very, very local. How they do things in the Quad Cities is different than how they do things here, and what works here, and even just laws and what you're allowed to do here. I remember listening to a bunch of stuff, and there's big coaches or real estate sales influencers, if you want to call them, that lived in markets like South Florida or Chicago or Denver or Los Angeles or Phoenix. And, they would talk about like hyper focusing on certain areas, the Valley in Phoenix, or, just different stuff like that. Des Moines not that big yet. So I remember kind of thinking like West Des Moines, I'm going to sell houses in West Des Moines, which we market to West Des Moines a lot. That's where we're from, but I'll sell anything.
Well, I posted something the other day about affordability in Iowa, and I hid the comment because this dude from South Carolina comments who had literally no mutual friends, like nothing, but South Carolina had the most on the housing affordable index was the most affordable. Iowa was second in the whole country. Texas was third. And he goes, there's no way this is accurate because homes in South Carolina have skyrocketed. Well, to Tyler's point, they've skyrocketed everywhere. So it's, he's assuming that only homes in South Carolina have skyrocketed. That's the locality of it. But focus on your local market. It doesn't really matter what home prices are doing in California. What are they doing here?
Yeah.
What's the economy like here? How's our city growing? Focus on that. So Danny, you had a point before we cut you off.
No, you're good. It was honestly very similar to what you said before. It goes hand on hand with that. So it is one of the best advices that I have received so far from a very successful broker here in Iowa. It is focus on quality over quantity and learn how to qualify your leads. And that kind of goes with what you said before. The moment that you start qualifying and learn the people that you want to work with, you make them have a better experience for themselves and also for us. So it's overall, it's not like you are like having your own niche. It's more like you're learning what type of people you want to work with. And sometimes you're not going to like everybody and you don't have to work with everybody. But, if you learn how to qualify them and they are a good fit for you, then go for it. It's better to qualify them. So, in short, don't say yes to everybody. That is one of the advices that they told me to at the beginning. Work with everybody, say yes to every lead that comes, follow up. But I'm realizing now that it's kind of like a waste of time to like keep following up with people that are not very motivated. They maybe just wanted to like see a house just because they were curious, but they are actually not going to buy a house and it's not worth your time. And then while I'm following up with them, I'm realizing that it's just having them have a bad experience. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah.
So far, I have been 1 month in real estate, so
yeah. I will say very early on I had some multiple buyers early on that I honestly was just working with because I was such a new agent and I needed to get some experience and I was hoping to get some sales. And it would get to a certain lull where I was like, oh, this person's never going to buy, this person's never going to sell. And they didn't then, but a year or two down the line, they did end up buying and they did end up doing stuff with me because I was the one that helped them way back when. So
yeah, I mean, I think you learn how to, I think you learn how to like change up your level of service too, like and kind of qualify that way. Like, are we, for instance, like I'm working with someone right now who now they're getting more and more serious, but I showed them a couple houses like this time last year, just some new construction stuff, like just to kind of see what their dollar amount gets them. And it didn't go beyond that because I knew they weren't buying. But I did go show them some stuff and then put it on hold. There's no point in us going out and looking every single weekend and wasting, like you said, wasting our time acting as if they were buying something ASAP. So kind of learning to differentiate your clients in that way too. It's pretty helpful. Time management and stuff.
All right, you guys ready for the last segment?
Yeah, Tom.
I need some advice. So this weekend is the bachelor party. I'm not going to give the timeline or the day, actually.
Oh,
well. We're meeting at Topgolf for 2.5 hours. And after Topgolf, we're going to have a window of about 3 hours before dinner, which is going to be downtown Des Moines. I need to know what to do for that 3 hours.
Costco's right by Topgolf.
Big Earl's opens
the whole
at
bachelor
4.
Party to go to Costco?
Mm-hmm.
Big Earl's opens at 4 on weekends.
I'm not going to Big Earl's. Thanks for the suggestion, Tyler. Brady, you got anything?
Go walk through Shields and tell people how you used to work there.
For old time's sake.
Say there's the back stock and go back there and do stuff. And
should do laser tag with paintball. That'd be fun.
What'd you say, Danny?
Go do a whiskey tasting or go to like a cigar lounge.
Oh, you
Or-
could go to a cigar lounge.
I
Do you
was
smoke
thinking-
cigars, Tommy?
I was thinking of going to. Have you guys ever been to Iowa Tap Room?
Yes.
I think
And
I
then
have.
under there they have Ken's Speakeasy. I was thinking about going there.
There you
That
go.
would be kind of cool.
You could go to Beaverdale and kind of bar hop around Beaverdale.
It's a possibility.
There's 4 bars that are definitely open in the middle of the day that will have people there. Beaver
You did
Tap,
that.
Pub,
You did.
Parlor.
You did that video once about Beaverdale, Thomas. That was pretty good. You should go back and watch it and see what places to go eat at.
Fun fact about that video: my brother shows my niece that video because she really likes the stuffed beaver that I had in the video. I gave it to her as a present after I was done filming that
Driving
video.
up the views. It's on YouTube.
Did you sign it for her?
Is it on YouTube, Thomas?
I
Is that
don't
how
know if it's on. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I know it's on Facebook. So my brother just scrolls through my videos.
Isaiah, my dad showed Isaiah my college highlight tape on YouTube. And now he asked to watch dad play basketball all the time. So the views are going up on that thing. Like I've noticed like views going up on the video from years ago because Zay likes watching it.
Brady, did you have an idea?
Paintball.
I'm not gonna go paintball. I'm
I
too
don't know.
old.
seem
You
like-
can't ask for his ideas and then get mad at him.
Yeah, you just shot it down right away.
My knees hurt.
Rude.
read a book in the corner. I don't know.
There's if you YouTube go on YouTube and type in Tyler Springer highlight tape and it's there. Tyler Springer Grandview.
How many
There it
highlights?
is.
How many views?
It's 3 minutes, but it's 260 views. And I bet I'm willing to bet 250 of them are someone that has Springer as the last name. Look at it. Nice pass. Gets right back to the elbow. Look at that.
Now,
layup.
in my defense, those clips on that highlight tape are all clips from like
Practice.
film breakdown. There's no cool stuff in there. The guy who put it together only went into what was already clipped for like film from like good plays that we ran. So they didn't get any of my cool stuff. If you go and watch it.
That's
Okay.
You had a good shot.
But yeah, Thomas, I would say I would just go bar hopping for a little bit. Go brewery hopping. You could go to Lua and
Lua's a possibility. I was looking at single speed too.
Lua, Big Grove.
It's kind of close to where we're eating, so. Oh, Big Grove would be sick. That might have been the idea, Tyler. I appreciate that.
That's all it took.
Yeah. The real question is, are Tyler and Brady coming?
I can't.
It's our nephew's birthday.
Yeah, I forgot about that and we have a couple other kids' birthday parties to go to during the day. Sorry. Thomas, in my defense, you literally asked me 2-3 days before your bachelor party. I was not on the A list to go. You're obviously asking me because someone couldn't come. I'm on the secondary list, so I don't feel bad for not going. Actually, as I'm
That is
talking,
fair. All right, so
and your clock
Tyler,
still doesn't work. 5 weeks later, your clock still doesn't work. Worry about maybe you guys can do that for your bachelor party. Come over and fix your clock.
it just needs batteries. The
Spray your yard for weeds too while you're at it.
okay.
While all
That's
your friends
actually-
are over.
That's actually ordered. Fun fact. The highlight tape for Tyler is in the comments section.
Oh,
So-
gosh. I'm gonna delete it.
The video
Yeah.
that should be on our YouTube channel.
We should get that into some sort of listing video.
Dude, you had some nice pick and pops.
No, the one thing I would like to point out on that, watch my teammates when I shoot the ball. Just watch how they all just walk back.
Yeah, they don't give you a high five or nothing.
No, they don't even crash. They don't crash the boards.
They know it's going in.
Yeah, so they just get back on defense. No joke. Watch it. It's evidence.
Nobody reaches out to say, "Hey, good shot there." Tyler.
This was a great episode. We're gonna cut it off here.
Juwan wanted
watching.
wanted the ball back on that one.
Andrew, say bye.
See everybody.
See you guys.